Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2025 edition of DocLands. I am Mark Fishkin. I am the founder and the director of the California Film Institute, and it's my honor to welcome you here tonight. And who says the theatrical experience is dead? This is proof it's not, and how important it is to gather as a group and see important and wonderful entertaining films like today's. Before I bring up Joni Cooper, our director of programming, I just want to say a few words about what we do at the California Film Institute. This is the 9th DocLands, and we're coming up on the 48th Mill Valley Film Festival. But in addition to that, we own the Sequoia Theater. We have a vibrant educational program where we work with kids from elementary school to all the way through high school. And all this is done because we believe in the power and the empathetic nature of film. And certainly this film today is emblematic of that as well. So I welcome you here. I appreciate that you're taking the time on this beautiful sunny day to come and see these entertaining films that are dealing with incredibly important subjects in this beautiful theater that we remodeled 26 years ago. And so stay tuned. We will be, we purchased the Sequoia Theater about 18 years ago. We finally got a hold of it, and coming soon will be a new Sequoia. So now it is my pleasure to welcome our terrific director of programming of DocLands, Joni Cooper.
Thank you, Mark. And I can't tell you how honored and excited we are to, and explosively so, to be hosting Robin Hauser's world premiere of her film THAW. So I'd like to ask Robin to come up, give you a few words, and I also want to just remind you to stick around afterwards. We'll have a Q&A afterwards, and don't forget to vote for your favorite film using your tickets, links on your tickets, or in the lobby on an iPad.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Joni. Thanks to Joni and to DocLands and to Mark for having us here. It's such an honor to be back in this historic theater. I've screened here a few times and it never disappoints. So thanks. And thanks to all of you for being here today. There's so many people that helped me make this film, and I couldn't do it. So if you are here because you're on my team, because you were in the film, because you helped fund the film, please stand. That's our youngest team member right over there, coming in at 15 months. So yay! We are going to do Q&A after with Diane DWYER, who I'm so honored to have here to do Q&A. Please stay, and we're all going to remind you to vote because Audience Award is a really big deal. So thanks for that, and I'm really excited to have this on the big screen and to say let's play. Thank you.
Wow. Great job, Robin and team. That's an amazing film on all fronts. I would like to have Diane DWYER come on up, as she's going to lead the cast and crew and Robin through some wrap-up, so to speak, and lead us into something more.
Okay, pressure's on. Exactly. Thank you, Joni. Thank you. All right, Robin and the rest of the folks who are willing to come on up, please come on up to the stage as well. We're going to just do a little Q&A. Amazing group of people. Robin, what a film. What a film. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Joanne, you want to come up? Annie, you want to come up? Jennifer, come on up, please.
Come on up.
A lot of these women you're going to recognize, right?
You want to do some introductions, Robin?
Diane, I would just love to introduce my team. And come on, ladies, come on up.
Keep coming this way.
I want to introduce Joanne Esser, who's co-producer, Annie Marr, producer. Jennifer Steinem-Sternum, co-producer and editor. Thank you to my team. Amazing. Come on in, you guys. Come on all the way over. You'll recognize Marcia INHORN, Bridget, Dr. AIMEE, Shirin, and Monica. Thank you to all of them.
Incredible. Thank you all for being here tonight for this world premiere. It was Robin's storytelling, right? How do you do that without having a narrator through the whole thing? It's just incredible, right? These folks were all your narrators. So thank you. Thank you for your vulnerability and telling your stories. That was incredible. It's hard and it's beautiful. So thank you for doing that. And for all of us, really. Okay, I'm going to ask Robin first. There were so many, I was just frantically taking notes through the whole thing. There were so many surprises for me as a woman who thought I knew a fair amount about this process, but apparently I didn't. For you, what was your biggest surprise as you went through this process?
Well, I think Shirin says it really well. You know, the fact that this is not a guarantee.
Yeah.
And of course, I think they were always hoping, but that was a surprise. But also what Marcia INHORN shares, which is that it's not just because women are seeking higher education. It's not just because women are in the workforce trying to make partner, but in fact, it's for partnership issues. And I think that this was especially surprising given the last 10 years of working on women empowerment films. And I think it's been a really solid effort on the world's behalf to empower women. And yet, is this perhaps one of the unintended consequences of female empowerment, that we're now in a situation where they're having a hard time finding equal, eligible, educated men? And Marcia can speak to that much better than I.
Yeah, first of all, I have to say that was a remarkable film, Robin and Annie.
Woo!
It's really a fair film, too. You know, it shows the sort of joys and hopes of egg freezing, but also all the difficulties and downside and the fact it's not a guarantee. And yeah, I did a big study. I interviewed 150 American women who had frozen their eggs. And it was so surprising to me that it was 82% of women electively freezing their eggs were doing it because they did not have a partner.
Wow.
It was really, that was the issue over and over. And a remarkable group of women, really amazing women who are suffering and saying, I never expected to be in this situation. I've tried dating and finding somebody. I can't find the partner. So men need to get the message about, a partnership. I did not interview any men, but somebody needs to talk to men about their reproductive aspirations and goals and partnership ideas. They're the missing link in this story, I think.
Very interesting. I was curious on that front, just from the audience perspective. The mating gap was my biggest surprise, I think. Just quick audience participation. How many people were surprised by hearing the mating? And now this 82% is even more like that. How many people were surprised by that information or kind of already knew it? A fair amount. How many were surprised that it took so long and hurt so much? Was that? I was very surprised by that. And I also, the whole insurance thing, like you freeze your eggs so that you can have babies later, right? And you have babies later because that's what you do. And I also was surprised by the lack of guarantee that came with it. And again, to the ladies here who sort of shared that with us, that lack of guarantee, that was very brave and kind of you to do. So on that note, I would love to ask some of the featured women on this film. It was a little bit depressing in times. Do you have advice for folks who are thinking about doing this? What kind of advice would you give us, or give? I'm too old for that, but for young women.
Okay, so I'll just pretend I'm speaking to the younger version of me. And I think the advice that I would give her is, first, do this younger. So as the movie portrayed, freezing your eggs. So it just has a reference point. Egg donors, the cutoff is age of 30. And so do this much earlier because it really increases your odds and your chances. If you can, freeze embryos as opposed to just eggs. That also increases your chances. And then this advice is actually counter. And I think having gone through this process and having not been able to conceive, something really beautiful happened. Whereas somebody that I always set a goal, and I knew that if I worked really hard, I can get to that goal. And it just was a matter of determination and hard work. And this was a process where I did all the hard work, and yet I didn't get the outcome that I wanted. And it opened an understanding of a way of being in the world where it's actually beautiful to let go, that we don't have full control of everything, and to really rest and trust and peace that life moves on, that while you might have a child, things might happen in your life, et cetera. And so to be able to move on in this collective process of being in the space of trust with life was something really beautiful that happened over here for me. So.
Well, you spoke to I think when you go through the egg freezing process or either IVF process, there are no guarantees. Mine didn't end out the way that I wanted to with having a biological child of my own, but I knew coming out of it that I would always have children in my life and, really have strong relationships with so many of my nieces and nephews and cousins. And I've been with a partner for the last 2 years who has 2 daughters. So, I've closed that chapter of my own fertility, but I knew there was going to be goodness and children waiting around the corner. And I think just in speaking to the sort of overwhelming, when you're in the process, your every day is not a day anymore. It's shots and fertility, doctor's appointments and blood scans and ultrasounds. And it feels very overwhelming and daunting. And then you come out of it and you can't even remember it. It's the blip of something on a radar that is so much bigger. And so I would never want someone to feel overwhelmed and to not, advocate and do this based on feeling scared about needles or feeling scared of, doctor's appointments and things like that, because it's very worth it.
Yeah, I'm just sort of in awe of everyone here. And the 82% did not surprise me, nor anyone I know within the egg freezing community or any single moms by choice. Single moms by choice are really pretty kick-ass women on the whole, I have to say. What I would have done differently is, yes, frozen sooner, but we're waiting for society. We're waiting for our government. We're waiting for people to make this stuff happen. I froze my eggs 15 years ago. Things haven't changed. Private equity swooped in. That's what's changed pretty much. The messaging is still the same. So it's incumbent upon us to talk to people in their 20s and those people to talk to people in their 30s and those people, we're not in our mother's generation anymore. And, we need to start the conversation. This brilliant, doctor is really doing it and changing it within egg freezing circles. But, we need to be our own advocates. It wasn't mentioned in the movie, but my daughter turns 7 next week. I had her through an egg, double donor, egg and sperm donor. That's a whole nother can of worms, which, I could go on and on, but I still have 5 genetically normal embryos on ice that I pay for $525 every year. And I have no idea what to do with them. When I had my daughter, I said I would donate them to a single woman. I look at my daughter and I can't, but I can't not seeing. So, it's such a confusing process, but you see all these vats of eggs and embryos and, we are the first generation, and I just worry about what comes next because more stories are going to come out of egg freezing is not a guarantee. It's not
Yeah, and I just also want to say that while our society probably hasn't evolved, even though more and more companies are offering egg freezing benefits, there is technological advancements, and we saw some of that with Tomorrow and Conceivable Life Sciences. So there is progress with technology that will hopefully make this, one, more affordable, and two, more viable. But AIMEE, do you want to talk about that a little bit or mention?
I mean, along the lines of what I see in the future is hopefully what will also improve things is that egg freezing will be more part of our preventive medical care in this country, and people will be more proactive rather than reactive. And my dream is that every 25-year-old will get like her own personalized fertility, panel done, and so she'll know what the future holds for her through blood work, genetic testing, ultrasound. So it's not a surprise when someone goes to the fertility clinic at 28 even, if her mom had early menopause, that she is running out of eggs earlier than she would have expected. So hopefully those things will happen in the future.
Dr. AIMEE, one more question on that front. The mix-up, not the mix-up, what's that? The tank failure. Has the process of saving eggs, freezing eggs, how they do it, where they do it, has that changed? I mean, looking at, you heard the whole audience gasp when we saw the eggs, with the test tubes written on top what they were and you couldn't read it, half of them. So has that changed at all?
Some of the things have changed are that clinics are no longer keeping embryos on site anymore. So that's been a big change where a lot of clinics, not all of them, have moved from being a long-term storage facility. So there are now companies that, like CryoFuture is one company, and they're all over the country, where their business is safely storing eggs. And I believe they use Tomorrow's technology as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Robin, how about for you? This is a question I probably should have started with, but I jumped right in. What prompted you to do this? What's your story on each one of these documentaries you've done has had a story behind it? What's yours?
I was actually looking for my next project and wasn't sure what I wanted to do it on, and I had coffee with Shirin, and she shared her story with me, and it was so moving. And she said to me, Robin, so many women are living in silos. And she said, one of my closest friends could be going through difficulty or infertility and difficulty in conceiving, and we would maybe never know it, but we're all just sort of going through this and suffering on our own. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized that this is fascinating and this incredibly rapidly growing trend of egg freezing. So Shirin was my inspiration. Thank you for sharing your story with us, Shirin.
And Marcia, it was interesting, and there were some comments during the process of pulling the eggs of like, good job, to the woman, like it was her, whether she did a good job or not, depending on how many eggs came out. You talked about sort of getting men involved and having the conversation with men. But how can we rephrase and re-understand this process a little bit as well?
Yeah, my feeling after doing this big study is that there just needs to be much more fertility education out there for both women and men, because I actually found that these very highly educated women who were pursuing egg freezing, many of them felt in the dark about their fertility, because it's not something that on a normal well woman visit to a gynecologist you even talk with your gynecologist about. And so women really had no idea that if they were in their early to mid 30s that they might have premature ovarian aging, And so there was a lot of exasperation. And so if women are a bit confused and feel undereducated about their fertility, imagine men. I mean, I've worked for many years on male infertility, which contributes to half of all cases of involuntary childlessness worldwide. Most men have not a clue that they could be infertile. So somewhere along the line, we need to really be talking about and educating everybody about fertility, as something that everyone should know about at least, whether they want children or not.
And we spend the first half of our lives as women trying not to get pregnant.
Exactly. And that's what fertility education in America, if you get it at all, along the way, is really about. It's like how to prevent pregnancy and STIs. But, there need to be frank talks, along the way about, do you want to have children? And if so, maybe you should, consider getting some fertility testing. I really agree with you that I think in the future, all young women, as part of annual well women visits, should at least be having the conversation and have a way to get to have some fertility testing done. It's not routine in America, so there's really a long way to go.
Thank you. And on that note, we have a bit of time where we might be able to take a question or two from the audience, and I think we have a microphone for them. Yes, thank you very much, Jacob. Is there anyone who has a question for any of the lovely women here who would like to ask a question of them? Thank you. We'll bring the microphone over to you. Yep, right over there. And while we're doing the microphone, you know, there is a Best of Audience award for this. So just throwing that out there, I think it certainly deserves it. You can vote via your ticket or on an iPad when you go outside, but we'd sure appreciate that as well. And your question, sir?
Yes. You've spoken about it being a multi-billion-dollar industry. How many women are having this procedure done each year?
Depends. It's a lot of women. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but if you look in certain areas geographically in the Bay Area, if you take a bunch of 30-year-olds, probably 50% have already frozen their eggs. So
really?
Oh, yeah. It's very popular in the Bay Area. Yeah. I mean, their friends are doing it. Everyone's doing it. And the word is out that the younger you freeze, the better off you are. So when I started my practice almost 20 years ago, the women that were coming to me were between 37 and 42. Now my average egg freezer is under 30. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just want to say, and yes, there's some very sad moments in the film. There are also some happy moments. Unfortunately, Michelle couldn't be here. She's our, success story so far. But if the statistics are still right, and you can correct me, Dr. AIMEE, but I think 90% of eggs, maybe and/or embryos, are still on ice. Because really, when you think about it, this has only been about 10 or 11 years since it's been elective. And so because of that, we actually really don't know the true success rate. And hopefully, moving forward in the next, say, 5-10 years, we're going to see a lot more successful live births from frozen eggs and embryos.
I think that might be your next film. Just throwing it out there. And you have a question?
Yes. I just wondered, is there some type of legal form, or do they recommend the living trust for these very precious eggs or embryos?
So the question is,
there are many now.
The question is, are there any legal forms for these embryos or in your trust and that kind of thing? Wonderful question.
You want me to-
Go ahead,
yeah,
Anne.
Yes, there are. So women sign consent forms. So in the case of their death, and sadly I've had a couple of patients die after I did it for fertility preservation for cancer. So there are women, unfortunately, that do pass away, and it's designated as to who would make decisions about their eggs in those situations.
There are also legal battles going on with divorce on who owns the embryos, who owns the eggs even. It's crazy. So all this needs to be right, you have to sign a lot of these things before.
On that note, and Robin, I appreciate you bringing it back to the positive because there was a lot of sadness in the movie, and the point is there could be a lot of happiness now as well as going forward, that those stories are yet to be told. Which
and the other thing that's interesting is that our protagonists who had not the outcome that they were hoping for would still recommend egg freezing. Am I right? Shirin, Bridget, Monica? Yeah, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that was what we understood from your... Yeah.
And Robin, can I share a happy story for Ryan? So Ryan did come back for another cycle, and she had several healthy embryos. So I just want everyone to know that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So on that note, I will thank you all for coming today. A big round of... Yep. I think do we have any? Yep. Any other questions? We might be able to, can we fit one more in? Can we, not, no, okay. Okay, quick last question, thank you, and I'll just hear you and say it again, so we don't have a mic. When and how is it going to be available, Robin?
And so at this point, I mean, yeah, if there's somebody from Netflix in the room, let's talk. But at this point, we are just on the festival circuit. So we're screening. Actually, we're doing it's a non-festival, but a screening at with Park City Film on Wednesday in Park City, Utah. We're going to a film festival on Long Beach Island. Never been there, New Jersey. So we're waiting to hear from a few other festivals. Yeah, I think eventually it'll be streaming in one capacity or another, if not Netflix on some service where we can actually see how much it's screening and see the money that we should be making. So yeah.
All right, one more round of applause for Robin and the whole crew. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your stories and making it all happen. And Robin, you're incredible. Thank you all.
And thanks to Diane for coming over. Thank you, Diane.